Part 29. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 281. Chapter 281 Chi Lili is injured. Qian Yuman opened the door and shouted. She quickly looked at the figures moving in the room. She saw a woman with her body lowered and wiping the table with a rag in her hand. When she heard someone shouting, she raised her head and looked at Qian, who ran in with confusion. Yi man. I saw an unfamiliar person in the room. The woman was in her 40s or 50s and was wearing cleaning clothes. She was not Wang Tiankai. Disappointment immediately appeared on Qian Yuman's face. She looked quickly at the surrounding environment and saw no one else. Miss, who are you looking for? The cleaning lady asked suspiciously as she saw Qian Yuman looking around. Auntie, who are you? Why are you cleaning here? I remember that the owner of this house has not been back for many years. There are no women in the Wang family. Wang's mother passed away when Wang's brother was very young. There is no one else in the Wang family except his father and son. The cleaning lady answered with a smile. I am the aunt who was entrusted by Mr. Wang to clean the house. Mr. Wang? Qian Yuman's eyes lit up instantly, and joy appeared on her face again. Mr. Wang? Young Mr. Wang? How old are you approximately? Mr. Wang is about 24 or 25 years old. He will go home to live in a while, so he asked me to come over and clean the house first. Really? Will you come back to live in a while? Qian Yuman's excited face turned red. She was so excited. Yes, I don't know the specific time of return either. That's great, thank you, Auntie. Qian Yuman said her thanks and jumped out of Wang's house. She was very happy to learn that Wang Tiankai was coming back. It doesn't matter when we come back, as long as we can meet again. She didn't expect that he would come back after many years. When she was a child, she often looked forward to Wang Tiankai's return. I didn't expect to wait until this day. Depending on the situation, it won't take too long. Qian Yuman returned home humming the song she had run away from. Qi Zhan, who had been waiting for his daughter to come back for a long time, saw his daughter in a happy mood and smiled and invited her to come over and eat the tonic soup that had been stewed for a long time. Seeing that you are so happy, you must know that someone from the Wang family is moving back. She nodded vigorously. Dad, you know it too. The cleaning lady has been coming in and out these days, and the repairmen are also coming in and out frequently. It's hard for Dad not to know. He Qian Yuman nodded with a smile, still happy that Wang Tiankai was coming back. I didn't expect that the Wang family would come back after 11 years. I remember that your mother used to like to tease you about marrying Tiankai. I didn't expect that he would be gone for so many years and you would already have found your own happiness. Chi. Zhan said with some emotion, thinking of Qian's mother whom she hadn't seen for a long time and still didn't know her specific situation. Qian Yuman dragged her cheeks and remembered the silly and innocent time when she was a child. I really miss my carefree childhood. As for her father's teasing, she was still very innocent at that time and would always blush because of her mother's teasing. Look at now, when she tells pornographic jokes, her face does not turn red and she is out of breath, and she behaves like a female pervert all night long. She still has the innocence of her childhood. Early the next morning, Qian Yuman got up and drove to the airport, because Chi Lili was coming back today. We arrived at the airport just in time. The plane landed not long after and Chi Lili appeared at the exit. From a distance, I saw Chi Lili sitting in a wheelchair and being pushed out. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 282. Chapter 282, The Dirty Queen Eats Tofu from a Handsome Guy. When Qian Yuman saw Chi Lili being pushed out of the wheelchair, her face darkened and she quickly walked over, holding her sister's hand and looking up and down. Sister, What's wrong with you? Why are you coming out in a wheelchair? In the previous phone call, I didn't hear that my sister was injured and how she could come back in a wheelchair. Chi Lili's cold face melted slightly, and she patted the back of her sister's hand to comfort her. I'm fine. It's all because of that idiot Murong Yet. Speaking of this, Chi Lil became very angry, with a hint of distress on her cold face, and slowly explained the reason why her foot was injured. It turns out that Tanyuj asked Murong Ye to find Chi Lili's whereabouts. Murong Ye searched for several hours before finding Chi Lili. There were only two of them at that time. Chi Lil got separated from the expedition team because she got lost and kept wandering around inside. Murong Ye finally found him, but the fool was so happy that he ran too fast, slipped and fell into the river. Chi Lili finally fished him out of the river, but Murong Ye, who couldn't swim, faced an unknown situation. The problem of how to walk back. As soon as she talked about her experience at that time, Chi Lil got a headache. Because he fell into the water, the communication equipment was soaked in water and could not be used. The map and other equipment in his hand were broken. Murong Ye didn't know how to turn back, so the two of them started walking around in the mountains. Murong Ye fell into the water after searching all night and fell into a high fever. Chi Lili originally had a slight sprain while saving Murong Ye, but her foot became more serious because she carried Murong Ye, who had a high fever, to find her way back. After checking, the hamstring was more serious due to walking in the wild for a long time. It will take at least half a month to rest. Murong Ye was kind-hearted and went to save Chi Lili, but in the end it was Chi Lili who came back holding Murong Ye. Chi Lili complained with a headache, and the person pushing the wheelchair left. It was only then that Jian Yuman noticed the appearance of the person pushing Chi Lili. She immediately raised her head and chest, and nodded to him with a faint smile on her face. Handsome guy, handsome guy. The person pushing Chi Lili was a handsome guy about 1.75 meters tall. He had a sunny and handsome smile on his face because of Chi Lili's complaints. He was wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans. When he smiled, his eyes became like crescents. Jian Yuman was a little surprised. She didn't expect that Murong Ye was different from what she thought. According to the phone conversation, no matter how loud he was, he sounded like a mean-looking man with a mean expression. I didn't expect him to be so handsome and sunny. Hello Murong Ye, I'm Jian Yuman. Jian Yuman stretched out her hand to say hello. The handsome man was stunned for a moment, and his eyes almost disappeared from laughter. Chi Lili couldn't help but smile, and said with a smile. Sister, she is not a nagging ghost. Huh, Jian Yuman looked at the handsome guy in surprise. The handsome guy reached out and took her hand. Hello, my name is Yun Duo, I am Master Murong's bodyguard, and I am a woman. Jian Yuman was already surprised that she was not Murong Ye, but now that she knew that the handsome guy in front of her was actually a woman, she almost screamed without image. You are actually a woman. Jian Yuman looked at her quickly. Regardless of her height, body shape, voice, or dress, she looked like a man. How about touching my small breasts? Yun Duo said and generously held out his for her to touch. Not only did Jian Yuman not feel shy, her eyes even shone brightly. She swallowed her saliva and stretched out her hand to touch her chest back and forth, making the person who invited her regret the touch. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 283. Chapter 283. Lili's happiness is left to me. Backed away a little embarrassed, no longer being eaten. Chi Lili felt deeply sympathetic when she saw her sister's appearance, and actually invited her to have with her. Isn't this a sheep entering a tiger's mouth? Jian Yuman chuckled and looked around. Sister, You are back, and Mirongye's bodyguard is back as well. What about Mirongye? I also want to thank him for his help. We have already booked a place to eat. She was about to bleed heavily. Speaking of this, Chilil couldn't help but start complaining mode. The idiot ran to find me in a hurry without any documents. I came back by civil aviation, but he couldn't take the same flight back because he didn't have documents, so he had to take the same helicopter. The speed of the helicopter was somewhat different from that of civil aviation, so she arrived a little earlier. As soon as Chilili finished speaking, a figure ran towards them quickly. The person who came here is slightly stronger than the average person. At first glance, he looks like a person who has a long-term fitness habit. He is a full 1.9 meters tall. There is a slight sweat on his forehead due to running. He is wearing light sportswear, but it still cannot hide his noble temperament. He looks tough and handsome, and he is also a first-class handsome guy. With his good temperament, he is often noticed and saluted by women when he runs over. Mirongye came over and stood directly in front of Jianyuman with a friendly smile. Sister Manman, this is Mirongye. It's our first time meeting you. Please give me some advice. Mirongye reached out and grabbed Jianyuman's hand and made an excited vow. It's the first time I've met you. I'm very familiar with you. You really look exactly like Lili, but you're more friendly. You look like my eldest sister at first glance. Don't worry, Lili's happiness will be left to me from now on. I will definitely be good to her. I will not let her be wronged, and I will love her for the rest of my life, so please leave her to me with confidence. The corners of Jianyuman's mouth twitched slightly, and she was 100% sure that this 1.9-meter tall man was Mirongye. He chattered a lot, and he was so enthusiastic that if Lili wasn't there, he would have given her a warm hug. It was obviously the first time they met. This was the first time she met such a noisy man, and he asked her to hand over her sister to him as soon as they met. Especially, look at Mirongye's appearance. She is still 27 or 80 years old. He actually called her sister, which made her skin crawl. Jianyuman withdrew her hand and took a step back with some disgust. Don't call me sister, I'm more than 4 or 5 years younger than you. Mirongye shook his head quickly with a serious expression. You are Lili's sister, and you are my sister. This has nothing to do with age. Jianyuman looked at her sister with sympathetic eyes, but also felt guilty. Why did she let Tangyuj find such a weirdo to save her sister? It would give her sister a headache in the future. Looking at his shameless look, one can guess the difficult road ahead for his sister. This man is both handsome and rich. Unfortunately, my sister's handsome fiancé Tangfei died, and he is destined to have no chance. Don't call me sister anymore. If you call me sister again, I'll get angry. I'll ban you from seeing my sister in the future. It depends on you. Jianyi's head dropped to the man who opened his mouth to call her sister again. It's so shameless. He calls her too old. People who don't know think she is an older woman and she just looks younger. But shut up, Chilil scolded her coldly. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 284. Chapter 284. The Noisy Senior. Lili, don't be angry. I just shut up. I don't understand why you interrupt me every time or don't let me speak. I want our sister to speak now to express my sincerity to you. Love, if you have to talk to me, please wait for a while and I'll tell you enough later. Chilili rolled her eyes, stretched out her hand and roughly kicked his with her good foot, wanting to vent the depression of the past few days. Why are there men making such noise with him? Jianyuman silently sympathized with her sister, and then took them to have a big meal together. When it came time to pay, CEO Mirongye paid very consciously, but there was a long speech before the payment. In the end, Jianyuman wanted to pay immediately. You don't have to listen to his jabbering. Qian Yuman went back to school after lunch. She had her class this afternoon, but as soon as she came to school, a figure pulled her to the corner. Su Kuorong, what are you doing? Where are you taking the teacher? Although Su Kuorong is only 16 years old, his strength is already that of an adult man. Su Kuorong's face was solemn, and the ruffian smile was no longer on his face. He pulled her to question her seriously. Did you meet my brother yesterday? Qian Yuman had a faint smile on his face. What's wrong? We happened to meet each other outside yesterday and we just exchanged a few words. I can tell by the look on Su Kuorong's face, he looks like he hates iron but cannot make steel. I said my brother made a big fuss when he came home yesterday, and it turned out that he met you. You must have said hurtful words to him. This is the first time he has seen his brother get so angry. His brother, who has always been calm and has no emotional fluctuations, actually gets angry like a normal person. Too noisy? Are you talking about the seniors who went home and made a noise? Qian Yuman was surprised when she heard this and suspected that he was talking about someone else. Having known the senior for 2 years, I rarely see him getting angry, let alone making a fuss, let alone towards his family. Su Kuorong shrugged and sighed helplessly. Yes. My brother drank a lot yesterday. When he came back, he started a quarrel with my father. He also said that he would not marry his fiancée because he wanted to break off the engagement. Now everyone in this family knows that my brother does not want to get married, and even in his heart there is another woman who almost had a falling out with my father because of this. But don't worry, my brother didn't call out your name, and my father doesn't know that person is you yet. Qian Yuman was slightly silent and looked at Su Kuorong with complicated eyes. Senior Huarong had been drinking with her after meeting her yesterday. She was shocked enough that he even argued to break off the engagement. In the 2 years I have known the senior, I have never seen him drink a drop of wine. She was also addicted to alcohol. She was once curious about how he looked after drinking and pestered him to take a sip, but he was unmoved by the alcohol. Why did he do this? If you didn't want this engagement in the first place, why did you get engaged? If you had known today, why bother in the beginning? The noisy seniors. What's the point of him doing this? Was he stimulated by her? What's so exciting? She didn't abandon him at the beginning, it was him who chose to return to China and get engaged to someone else, without even a word of explanation to say goodbye. Pretending to be in pain and showing it to someone. Classmate Su, I know you care about your brother, but things between your brother and I are over. I don't want to know why he broke off the engagement, and I don't want to know if he is angry because of what I said. Class is about to begin. You should go back to class as soon as possible. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 285. Chapter 285. The incident in the fitting room was witnessed. Qian Yuman turned around and left without hesitation. She didn't want to hear about what the senior was doing or how sad he was because of her. That was none of her business anymore, so what if she knew? Knowing it can't change any outcome. Looking at Qian Yuman's heartlessly leaving figure, Su Kuorong shook his head helplessly and sighed. Ruthless woman. I don't know what my brother thinks, because of a woman, he became what he is now. Not just a woman, but she also got drunk for him, and had 2 falling outs with the family. In the end, they didn't even want to mention him. I really don't know what my brother is planning. Before going to class, he was approached by the Su family's brother. After class, the Su family's brother went directly to the office. He still has a cold face, and he is still meticulously dressed. There is no trace of the drunkenness for love that Su's brother said last night, just like when he met Qian Yuman in college. Su Warong has been called to the school several times because of his younger brother's academic problems. This time he came to school and was still surrounded by many students. They all thought that Su Kwarong was in trouble again. Unexpectedly, he went directly to Qian Yuman's office to find her. "Manor, I have something to tell you." Su Warong walked up to Qian Yuman, who was about to leave, and whispered. Su Warong's affectionate name made her clearly feel the fiery looks coming from all directions, and several of them wanted to kill her. It seems that her reputation will become more and more famous in school in the future. "Senior, why are you suddenly looking for me in school? You can call me if you are looking for me. Why bother looking for me in school?" Su Warong didn't say a word, just looked at him, accusing her of beating her. Would she ask to see him again? Qian Yuman looked elsewhere with a guilty conscience. She didn't want to see him at all, and even if she received a call, she would find reasons to refuse. Out of school, Su Warong pulled her directly into the car and said that he would take her to a place, and there was one thing she must know. "Senior, there should be nothing left to say between us." Su Warong remained silent and took out a voice recorder, which he carried with him and which Qian Yuman had seen before. Qian Yuman looked at him puzzled. What did he mean? But she still reached out and took the voice recorder from his hand. "What are you going to do?" Su Warong pointed to the recorder in her hand with a serious face and said seriously. "Manor, the recorder in your hand is part of what I want to tell you, but you must be mentally prepared before listening to it. The content may be unacceptable to you for a while. I hope you know that I am giving you this recording. The pen is not trying to save you, I just don't want to be kept in the dark." Qian Yuman frowned slightly and looked down at the recorder in his hand. What content did he tell her in such a heavy tone? Qian Yuman pressed the recorder, and the content that came out of the recorder made Qian Yuman blush. The content that could make Qian Yuman, a veteran driver, blush, was naturally unusual. This recorder didn't last long, only 3 minutes at most, but she pressed it off shortly after listening and couldn't listen anymore because she knew what sounds would follow. There was a slight knocking sound in the voice recorder. Although the sound was very weak, she could still tell who the man and woman were in the recorder and what they were doing. As for the voices of the male and female protagonists, she also recognized who they were. Why is this thing in the hands of the senior? Extremely generous gift packs for National Day. Concubines, keep it. Correct. At 11 p.m. on October 17th, His Majesty will conduct a live video broadcast on the Yubo app. There will also be a prize-winning question activity that night, and the winner will receive my red envelope grand prize. His Majesty has also promoted it in the message area before. The specific content is still being discussed and will be announced in a few days. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 286. Chapter 286 Revealing Tanyu's Identity 1. That was the recording of the last time she and Tanyuj did bad things at the bridal club. There were people outside at the time. It was even recorded passing by. Su Warong stared at her. Seeing her shy and embarrassed look, he mistook it for embarrassment and didn't realize who the voice on the recorder was. "Manor, do you know what this man and woman are doing, and who they are?" Su Warong stared at the recording pen with terrifying eyes, and there was a chill all over his body. She twitched her lips in embarrassment. How do I know?" She didn't want to admit it. If her seniors knew that she and Tanyuj were doing that kind of thing outside, no matter how thick-skinned she was, she wouldn't be able to express herself and her husband in front of the people she once liked. A happy life of sex. That was your husband Tanyuj and your sister Chi Lili. They did such a thing with their backs to you. I only knew it because I had been investigating your husband's background during this period. I saw your sister and your husband with my own eyes. In the bridal shop, doing something embarrassing. When Su Warong said this, his eyes were red, his eyes were horrifying, and there was a strong murderous look in his eyes. Qian Yuman felt the air around her cool down rapidly. She didn't even need to look at Su Warong to know how terrifying he looked at this moment. How could Su Warong not be angry? When he found out about Qi Lili and Tang Yuj, he almost couldn't restrain himself and went in to teach the couple a lesson. But he endured it. He didn't want everyone to know that Qian Yuman's sister and husband were sorry for her. For the sake of Qian Yuman's reputation, he forced himself to leave. He was angry that Tang Yuj didn't cherish her. Why should he feel sorry for Manor? Manor was the woman he wanted so much and cherished and loved. And not only did he not cherish her, but he did crazy things behind her back. Qian Yuman's face turned redder. She blushed not because of shyness, but because of embarrassment. That day she was still lucky that she was not discovered. Now she knows that she was not only discovered, but also discovered by her seniors. Now she is still suspicious. At first, it wasn't just him who bumped into him, maybe there were a bunch of people passing by outside and they knew the people inside were doing bad things, but they didn't bother them. Just thinking about it gives me a chill down my back. Based on this weak voice, you can tell it's my sister and my husband. I can also say it's you and other women, Qian Yuman argued awkwardly. Manor, do you still not believe that I have deceived you with this evidence in front of you? And this Tang Yuj has been deceiving you from the beginning, pretending to be an ordinary person to be with you, and going behind your back with you. My sister is messing around and even hides more of her past and identity from you. In Su Warong's view, Tang Yuj is a liar who deceived Qian Yuman's feelings, and a suspicious person suspected of committing a crime. Unfortunately, he has no substantial evidence now. For high-end businessmen like them, many crimes do not require them to do it themselves, so it is very difficult to catch them. If every drug lord could be caught, there would be no drug dealers in the world. He only hoped that through his method, she could recognize Tang Yuj and leave this terrifying man as soon as possible. Stop talking, I won't believe it. Don't meddle in other people's business. This is my business. Don't interfere. I will handle it myself. Qian Yuman took the voice recorder directly, deleted the contents, destroyed the evidence, and pretended that nothing had happened. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 287. Chapter 287 Revealing Tang Yuj's Identity 2. She knows what kind of person Su Warong is, and she will not have a backup, nor will she talk nonsense. She was afraid that he had misunderstood this matter, and she was too embarrassed to admit that it was her face to face, so she could only let Tang Yuj take the blame and apologize to him in the evening. Manor Su Warong was shocked by Qian Yuman's reaction. He thought she would get angry if she knew about this, but he didn't expect her attitude to be so calm, and he even wanted to pretend that it never happened. Well, I'll take you to see clearly what kind of person your husband is. Su Warong had a cold face, looked forward, and drove there. Qian Yuman threw the recorder aside. Now she didn't want to see it at all. Its existence told herself that everyone knew about herself and Tang Yuj. The drive didn't take long. In about a quarter of an hour, they arrived at a commercial building. The entire office building was wrapped in golden glass and stood like Optimus Prime in the most prosperous area of the city center. The entrance of the building was very luxurious and elegant. The security personnel at the entrance stood like soldiers, looking straight ahead with serious expressions. In fact, they were observing the surroundings with the corner of their eyes. There is a huge fountain at the main entrance of the building, and a stone tablet is erected in the middle of the fountain. The huge words Emgrand Group are inlaid in gold on the stone tablet. From the decoration of the building to the group sign at the entrance, it is extremely luxurious and perfectly interprets the luxury of the group's name. Qian Yuman knew about the Emgrand Group, although he didn't know the specific situation, he had heard more or less about it. Why did the senior bring her here? Su Warong pointed at the stone tablet of the Emigrant Group and said in a cold voice. Have you heard of the legend of the Emigrant Group? Legend? Is there any legend? Isn't it just a multinational company? Doesn't it have a very exciting growth history? Emigrant Group mainly focuses on catering, tourism, and entertainment industries. It has been 7 years since its establishment. It took 3 years to go public and 5 years to become one of the top 10 global companies. It took them just 7 years to go from an unknown small company has become the 6th largest multinational group in the world. What is even more talked about is that the founder of the group and his partner, Mr. Tang, have a mysterious identity and will never be exposed to the camera. All business that requires public relations and social networking is handed over to his two partners, so to this day very few business people have ever met Mr. Tang in person. Although he rarely appears, he is involved in the planning and decision-making of every project, and has been able to turn the tide in countless crises. Many people even think that these crises were deliberately allowed to arise by the parties involved and then resolved quickly, just like a game. And his two partners, the Murong brothers and sisters, work closely together, handle everything under the sun, know people well and make good use of them, and can always maximize benefits. The most surprising thing is that when the group was first founded, the two siblings were 21 and 20 years old. Normal peers have not even graduated from college, but they can work together and use decisive and sharp abilities to turn Emigrant Group into a leading large enterprise. After listening to Su Warong's words, Qian Yuman deeply admired the three partners of the Emigrant Group. Their entrepreneurship was like a legend, which was deeply admirable. It's just that she didn't understand why the senior wanted to tell her this, and why he brought her here to hear the corporate story of the Emigrant Group. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 288. Chapter 288 Revealing Tangyu's Identity 3. Did you know that you know the founder of the Emigrant Group and I have met him too? Who is it? Qian Yuman was really curious. Does she know such an awesome person? That's your new husband Tangyuj. Qian Yuman blinked, thinking she heard wrongly. She looked at the senior's serious look and still couldn't believe what he said. She shook her head, looking unbelieving. Senior, the joke you made is not funny at all. My husband was only 7 years ago and has just turned 18. How could he possibly start such a big company? Thinking of how Tangyuj acted like a fool in front of his family, and acted coquettishly and rolled around in front of himself, how could he be the founder and chairman of the Emigrant Group? How young is Tangyuj? He became the chairman of a listed company at the age of 21. It is too dramatic to think about it. The founder of Emigrant Group is 18 years old, the president is 21 years old, and the vice president is 20 years old. Is this a joke? Is it a game for young people? I'm not joking with you. In fact, capable people will discover this inextricably linked relationship after a little investigation. Our Interpol files clearly indicate the information of the founder of the Emigrant Group. Su Warong took out a piece of information that clearly showed Tangyu's identity and the milestone in founding the Emigrant Group. Qian Yuman still looked unbelieving, took it from his hand, and scanned the information in his hand. When she saw that the global CEO of the Emigrant Group was Murong Ye, and there was a photo of him next to it, she began to believe it. Seeing the photo of Vice President Murong 11 again, Qian Yuman recognized who this person was at a glance. She had followed Tangyuj and saw this woman talking and laughing with Tangyuj. This Murong 11 also signed Tangyuj's information. She was still confused at the time. Who is this woman? One piece of information clearly told Qian Yuman that the senior did not lie to her. Tangyuj is the chairman of the Emigrant Group. As far as she knew, the outside world thought that Tangyuj, the eldest young master of the Tang family, had nothing to do all day, just eating, drinking and having fun, and that he was an idle young master. In her opinion, although Tangyuj does not work, he does not worry about money. He is a smart man. We usually know a lot about astronomy and geography when chatting with him. There is almost nothing that he cannot talk about. He has a smart mind, but he doesn't use it to make money, he only uses it to have fun. He has already earned enough love, and now he only needs to count money at home. This is huge news for Tianyuman. There is no surprise at all. It is just too unbelievable and somewhat unreal. Su Warong took out another document and handed it to her. This is the information of Murong brother and sister. Did you know that they were once the children of the boss of a mysterious underworld organization in Asia? Their parents died when they were about 18 years old. It was at this time that Tanyuj appeared and took them away to protect them. They are considerate. How can a 15-year-old boy help them escape from the sea of suffering and avoid revenge? What does this mean? Ever since they founded the Emgrand Group, they have been under the surveillance of our Interpol. Their development of the company was so fast as a legend. They definitely did a lot of illegal things in the process, but every time they were caught by them. Made watertight. I can't tell you the details anymore. This is the top secret of our Interpol. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 289. Chapter 289. He is the father of my children. I just want to tell you that your husband is not just an ordinary rich man as you think. You are already husband and wife. I am afraid that one day he will implicate you. I am even more afraid that he will not be able to do anything in your relationship at all. I'm just kidding you. According to what I've learned during this period, he is an unfathomably dangerous man, and his scheming methods are not comparable to those of ordinary people. After Su Warong said these words, he kept staring at Tianyuman, trying to see something from her calm eyes. Tianyuman returned all the information in his hand to him with a bright smile on his face. Thank you, Senior, for telling me this, which made me realize more what an outstanding talent my husband is. As for your Interpol's speculation, it is just a guess. I will not believe that my husband is a bad guy without actual evidence. Are you afraid that I will be hurt? I don't think my life will be worse than before he appeared by my side. To put it bluntly, I am also in your situation now. Why should you care about this now? Why do you want to redeem yourself? Who are you to me? He left so suddenly without even saying hello, so why should he say bad things about Tanyuj now? What's more, he has a fiancée. Su Warong's eyes at this moment clearly showed guilt and self-blame. She didn't need his guilt. Tianyuman opened the car door and walked out. And Senior, I hope you won't speak ill of him in front of me in the future. I don't like to speculate. Don't you all like to use evidence to speak as police officers? Manur, don't misunderstand me, I'm not investigating this for myself. I know that I am no longer worthy of you, not since I left you. I just want to protect you in my own way and don't want you to be deceived and kept in the dark. Thank you for your kindness, I appreciate it. After getting out of the car, Tianyuman reached out to touch her belly with a happy face, and said helplessly and sweetly. Even if he breaks the law and is caught in the future, he will still be the father of my child. After saying these words, Tianyuman turned around and left. Su Warong looked at the background of Tianyuman leaving with a shocked expression. What did she mean by what she just said? She is pregnant? Tanyuj's child? At this moment, he suddenly realized why Tianyuman, who loved coffee, only drank water several times when they met. It turned out that she was pregnant with Tanyuj's child. At this moment, he realized that the distance between them had become farther and farther away. The woman in front of him no longer belongs to him, she has completely become someone else's woman. Qian Yuman turned around and left coolly, with no cool expression on her face. She pouted her cherry lips angrily and walked quickly towards the emigrant group. Okay. Tang Yuj, Chairman Tang. Your status is quite high. Very rich. 8th on the global wealth list. A rich man worth hundreds of billions actually spent only 1 million to trick her into going home. It's not a good deal. It seems like she has to pay a huge bride price. She is still worried that her wallet is getting less and less. She has spent more than half of the money she got from her uncle. No, he is so rich, why is he eating and drinking at her place during this time? After being married for so long, he still hid so many things from her. There must be more secrets that the senior has not told. Qian Yuman came to the emigrant group and was stopped by the doorman before entering the lobby. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 290. Chapter 290 Officially Meeting Your Parents. I want to see your chairman, Qian Yuman threatened directly. She knew that Tangyuj and Murongye were together today and that he was busy with something today, so she didn't take her to pick up her sister. I never asked him what he was doing before, but now I think that every time he goes out mysteriously, he must be here to work. It's also mysterious enough. Since marrying him, he has surprised or frightened him everywhere, like a treasure, constantly discovering his good and bad qualities. Facing the beauty Qian Yuman, the guard remained unmoved and drove her away coldly. Do you have an appointment? If you don't have an appointment, leave quickly. Our chairman has many things to do and doesn't have time to meet with you. Qian Yuman was instantly angry. If this was really Tangyu's company, she, the chairman's wife, would be left outside the door and not allowed to enter. Emotionally treated as a harasser? Qian Yuman looked at the building, rubbing her chin and thinking. With so many things hidden from me, it seems pointless to expose them directly. The most Tangyuj can do is quickly admit his mistake and apologize, or even say that I didn't hide it from you. If you ask me, I will answer this kind of thing. How could she possibly figure this out? She didn't even mean to ask. The most common result is that he apologizes repeatedly, admits his mistake, continues to act coquettishly and begs for forgiveness, and finally lets it go. You can't just let it go, you must give him a painful lesson, let him know what he has to hide and learn to take the initiative to explain it. Qian Yuman glanced at the security guards and raised her chin. Sooner or later she will come in openly without being blocked by them. Qian Yuman did not leave directly, but walked to the corner and took out her mobile phone to call Tangyuj. The call was quickly connected. Tangyuj was holding a high-level meeting at the emigrant group. Qian Yuman called and made a call in front of many high-level managers. Wife, are you looking for me? Tangyuj asked in a brisk tone. Wife? Many high-level officials looked at each other. Is the chairman married? How come they don't know at all? Husband. Lili is back too. I think it's time to formally meet your parents. I'm at the door of your house now. If I get bullied when I go in, you have to help me. After saying this, the phone hung up. Tangyuj looked confused. What's going on? Why are you suddenly going to the Tang family without saying hello? At least you have to take him with you. What the is Qian doing? He must be planning something else. Xiao, you can continue to preside over the meeting. I have to leave first. Tangyuj picked up his phone and walked out, leaving a group of senior executives in a mess. Murongye stood up angrily and shouted in pain. Xiao Tang, you have gone too far. This is a high-level meeting held every 6 months. So many high-level officials from all over the world come to the meeting, but you actually ran away. You have gone too far. Believe it or not, I will file a complaint with your wife. You can tell me come back. If you don't come back, I will run away. After Murongye finished thinking about it, he left the things to his sister and ran away. He was going to report to Chi Lili. The chairman took the lead in ignoring government affairs for the sake of his family, so he followed suit. Other senior executives are in a mess. What is this all about? Murong 11's face was dark, even a little pale, and other members of the management could see the raging fire rising behind her. Oh no, they are going to be in trouble. At first when Murong Ye started to talk about it, they were still disgusted in their hearts, but now they can't wait for him to come back and continue to talk about it. End of this chapter.